So to the last week's problem posed by Gauri ma'am. First, for the case of 2, to get a multiple of 2, how many numbers should I choose? So that I will definitely have 2 numbers within that. It will add up to a multiple of 2. And then we took up the problem for multiple of 3. Then I heard that Sunil has given a solution. So Sunil, maybe you can start with sharing the solution for 3. So the question is, how many numbers should I choose so that I will have 3 numbers in them, which will add to a multiple of 3. So what is the minimum number of numbers that I should choose? This was the question.
Yeah, sure. Actually, we should choose a minimum of 5 numbers.
Okay.
This was the problem. How many numbers should we pick to be sure that there are 3 of them that will add up to a multiple of 3? So first point is, when we divide any number by 3, there are 3 possible remainders, 0, 1, and 2. And we imagine that those remainders are the pigeonholes. So those 3 remainders are there are 3 pigeonholes, and there are 3 of them, one each for remainders 0, 1, and 2. And okay, first, third point, if we assume that there are 3 numbers, A1, A2, and A3, so we put a number an in the pigeonhole 0 if the remainder on dividing that number by 3 is 0. Okay, so similarly, we put a number an in pigeonhole 1 if the remainder on dividing that number by 3 is 1, and so on. Okay, so now the fourth point is, for the following cases, the sum of 3 numbers will not be divisible by 3. For example, if you take the case 1, the first pigeonhole is A1, A2. The A1, A2 are the 2 numbers, and those 2 numbers are completely divisible by 3. It means that the remainder is 0. And the third number is, let's say it can A3, it is the remainder is 1. So this is one case. Second case is A1, A2 in the first pigeonhole, 0 pigeonhole, and A3 in the third one. That means if you divide A3 by 3, the remainder is 2, and so on. So these are the 4 cases: case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. These are the 4 cases, A1, A2. So in all these cases, the sum of remainders, if you add the remainders, sum of remainders will be less than 3. I mean, it is 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Okay, the sum of remainders. Okay.
So now, first of all, converting this question into question of looking into remainders is a wonderful idea. That's a nice idea. Go ahead.
Yes. So actually, Gauri ma'am gave that hint.
Okay.
So pigeonhole can apply that concept. So so for these 2 cases, let's say case 1, this case, A1, A2, this is the worst case, we can say, because there are 4 numbers, A1, A2 in pigeonhole 0, and A3, A4 in pigeonhole 1. Okay, so let us take the case of 4 numbers. In the previous case, I took 3 numbers. In the next case, I have taken 4 numbers. So in this case also, the sum of, in these 2 cases also, the sum of remainders is not a multiple of 3.
The sum of all the 4 remainders, not a multiple of 3.
Not a sum of all.
But can there exist 3 numbers out of it whose sum might be a multiple of 3? That also I should see, right?
There can, but this is the
worst. But exactly. But look, this is
the worst scenario. What we are looking at is the minimum numbers. I mean, to make sure that those numbers are divisible by 3.
Correct. Okay.
So these are the 2 cases: A1, A2 in pigeonhole 0, and A3, A4 in pigeonhole. So in case 1 also, the sum of remainders comes to be 2. It is not 3. Second case also, the sum of remainders is 2. So it is not 3.
One, right?
This case also, this one. Sum of
Case 1, it
remainders
is
2 because
Yes.
A3 gives a remainder of 1, A4 also gives a remainder of 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2.
2.
Okay. In this case, yes. Case 2, actually 2 plus 2 is 4. Sum of remainders is 4.
4, but if you take the if you apply the modular arithmetic, it will be 1.
Modular
Arithmetic, because the remainder is 4. So if remainder is 4, which is greater than 3, so you can once again group that into one more group of 3.
Correct.
So the remainder will be
So
naturally
remainder will be 1. Yes.
1.
Remainder will be 1. Yes. So so the 4 numbers also will not work if you take the case of 4 numbers. So if you take the case of 5 numbers, let's say A1, A2, A3, A4, there are 5 numbers. So in this case, imagine this scenario: A1, A2, and A3. Okay. There is 2 numbers. A1, A2 in pigeonhole 0 and A3 in pigeonhole 1. So in this case, there are 5 numbers, A4 and A5. So no matter where you put that A4 and A5 in whatever pigeonhole, so the sum of the remainders will be a multiple of 3. It will be 3 or 6, right?
Yeah. Okay. So for 5, this property will force itself.
Yes.
Okay. Then this is the smallest number. Right. So I would like to present another proof. Yes, Shankar, do you have any comments on this? Any comments or any alternate way of looking at this?
That fifth point, case 1. So you have placed A1 and A2 in pigeonhole 0, right? So fifth point, case 1.
Okay.
I mean, consider the case of 4 numbers. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think just in case if we place A1 and A2 in pigeonhole 2.
Okay.
Just in case
Third
if we place third pigeonhole, which is pigeonhole 2. Okay. So from that you pick okay, fine. It will not work. Okay. I just had a doubt
of any 3 numbers. Yeah, that
any 3 numbers. Yeah, it will not work.
Any 3 numbers.
It will not work. Yeah, correct. So I just had a doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So nice, great effort, very nice effort. So I would like to present another thing again, which is not my one.
But the beauty is that, see, this looks like a simple problem, but he has converted into a very complex number theory problem.
No. It could become even more complicated if you look at all the cases, right?
Yeah.
Look at all the possible cases. It could become even more complicated.
And the pigeonhole principle has made it quite easy to
actually.
The last, the sixth in point number 6, right? The application of principle, yeah. It is making it, you're getting the answer immediately after that. So this is how the version of the proof that I saw. This is how it goes. Now, as you said, the possible remainders are 0, 1, and 2. These are the possible remainders. Okay, now we choose some 5 numbers. A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay, and we can convert all these to the remainders. So this would be, we can just take that these numbers are either 0, 1, 2. Okay. So how it goes is, case 1, if all the 3 remainders occur, if all the 3 remainders occur, that is, we have 0, 1, 2 in this list, then can we say anything? That is, we have 0, we have 1, we have 2 in this A1 to A5. Then what can we say?
I mean,
That-
the sum of
that is-
remainders is divisible by.
Exactly. So we could choose these three, and so we have three numbers. So we have three numbers giving a multiple of 5, multiple of 3. Okay. Then this is one case. All the three numbers occur, right? Then it looks like there will be more cases. There will be more cases. So what could be taken as case 2?
If any two of the remainders occur.
If any two, wow. If any two. So what I would have taken this, I would have taken 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 0, but this is even more general. If any two, if only any two of them occur, then what can we say?
Yeah, the sum of remainders is not divisible by 3.
Amount is not divisible by 3. No, the thing is we have A1 to A5. No, we have
Yeah,
A1 to A5,
Yeah,
but we just have only two of the remainders occurring.
yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, how the argument? Yeah. You also want to say, Sunil?
See, this case two again can be divided into 3, no? Case 2A, case 2B, and case 2C.
Exactly. So,
And in those one of the cases, it will be 1, 2. So if you
Yes.
add them, it will definitely be
correct. So yeah, that
definitely
is
be a
one
multiple of 3.
approach. Yes, that is one approach. So here the argument it goes even more finer, and what it is saying is if only two of them occur, so we have just two of the remainders. Okay, it could be 0, 1, 1, 2, anything. Okay. Now let us apply a generalization of pigeonhole principle. Now we have five numbers, and we have two holes, right? Then what can we say? We have two holes here, and we have 5 pigeons. So can we make any statement here? From remainder 1, remainder 2. Remainder 2 is 0.
Yes, if there are 3 let's say pigeons in one pigeonhole, then you can say it's divisible by 3.
Exactly, right? So if there are 3 pigeons in one pigeonhole, then we can say it's divisible by 3.
Yeah.
Right. So now in this scenario, will that happen? In this scenario, we have two remainders, R1, R2, and we have 5 numbers. These numbers will go either here or here. So now will the condition that you say get satisfied? Now can I say that there will exist, in this case, there will exist a hole having at least 3 pigeons?
Yes, sure. We can say.
We can say, right?
Yes, definitely.
Shankar, any comments?
At least 2 pigeons only, no? Sure.
No, there are
No.
5 numbers.
The 5.
No, so
okay.
here there will
Five
exist a hole having at least 3 pigeons.
Since there are 5 numbers.
Since there are 5 pigeons, if both of them have 2, then it won't add to 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So the statement here is there will exist a hole having at least 3 pigeons, no matter how you distribute these 5 numbers.
Oh, distribute. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Right. Yes. And then immediately, once we have this point, from Sunil, from what you told, it will immediately follow that since we have 3 pigeons, then we directly have multiple of 3. Right.
Yes.
So
yes.
this is done for the case of 5.
Yes.
And for the case of, and to show that 5 is the minimum, and for 4 and 3 it won't happen, then we can give a counter example like the way you did. You can give a suitable counter example. and the proof is over. So this I found it very beautiful, right?
Yes.
So we have so many cases. So even in case 2, actually, like rightly, like what Shankar told, the case 2 has 3 cases. And then by this, so this is here, this is called a generalized pigeonhole principle. So in a general pigeonhole principle, we'll have n pigeons, n pigeonholes, and n plus 1 pigeons. So here it is not n and n plus 1, but we see that at least one hole will have this many number of pigeons. We can make a statement like that. This is known as generalized pigeonhole principle. So
Probably we can
3,
say that probably we can say that we have n holes and we have k pigeons where k is greater than n.
let me write it down. So we have we'll keep it as H holes.
Okay, fine.
H holes and P pigeons, and there are more pigeons than holes. Then what statement can we make?
So since you're generalizing, I don't think we can make any other statements. Since you're
okay, we can have a statement. Okay. So now let me put some values for H and P. So we have 3 holes and 8 pigeons. Okay. So now can we make a statement about the existence of a hole having certain number of pigeons?
So it looks like there exists actually 2 holes having at least 3 pigeons.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So, so claim 1 is there exists. So this is a short form of there exists. There exists at least
2
holes
having 3 pigeons.
Having 3 pigeons, no matter how the pigeons and holes are distributed.
Yeah.
Okay. So others, what do you think, Sunil? Do you agree with this?
Yes. Sure.
Gauri ma'am, do you agree with this?
No, they could all be in one, right?
Okay. The thing is, we could have this case where we have these 3 holes, and all the pigeons could be in the same hole, right? So now there is this danger in making a statement about having 2 holes. All we can say is about 1 hole. So how can we change the statement?
Actually, we are trying to map that problem with this, so that's why.
So yeah, right. So now we are trying to make a more general statement, like in the form of pigeonhole principles.
Okay.
So we have 3 holes and 8 pigeons. What is the statement that you can make about the number of pigeons in a hole? Gauri ma'am, do you have any? So what is your claim?
There exists at least 1 hole with 3 or more pigeons. So the worst cases, they get distributed equally, which will take up 6 pigeons, and over that we have 2 more.
Yeah.
We can have at least 1 with 3 pigeons.
This much we can say, right? Now, if not, then every hole will have at most 2 pigeons. Then, so if this is not true, if not true, then every hole will have at most 2 pigeons, and so the maximum number of pigeons would be, in this case, 6, which is not possible. So this must be true. So this is proof by contradiction. Okay, fine. This is one way of doing it. So again and again, this pigeonhole principle comes and helps us in giving a very elegant proof, as we see in this case too. And then now we could generalize this, right? So what is so special about 3 and 2? We could just ask this more general question. So what is the minimum number of what is the minimum number of integers needed? Minimum number of integers needed so that k of them will add up to a multiple of k. So when k is equal to 3, we saw that the minimum is 5. When k is equal to 2, in the last session, we would have seen that m of 2 is 3. Right. So for k equal to 4, and for any general k, can we generalize? This is one question which naturally comes up, isn't it? So for this question, even I tried looking at it for some time. I couldn't make any progress, any significant progress. But then I heard that Sunil, you cracked for k equal to 5. You found the minimum, right, for k equal to 5?
Yeah, I and Gauri ma'am actually discussed offline.
Yeah. Nice.
about this.
Yeah. But still, I've not been able to get a general thing. So any comments about the general approach? Like, is there any relationship between this m of k and k, the minimum, and that is something which I was trying.
Yeah, Shiva, actually, I've not thought along those lines actually.
Okay, fine.
Generalizing it.
Right. But for k equal to 4, what is m of 4? What is the minimum number for 4?
K is equal to 4.
Gauri ma'am, did you know result for 4?
I tried it long ago. I think that was also coming to either 5 or 6.
Oh.
Can try.
Okay, so after seeing a 3 and a 5 here, my mind just want to see if it is 7. So it's not 7.
That is what even I expected, but
Okay.
yeah, it didn't come to 7. Like you were saying, that will give us the upper bound, but minimum. So in 4 and 5, there are different ways to add up to 5 or 4 in case of 4. So 2 plus 2 will give us 4, 3 plus 1 will also give us 4. 3 plus 2 will give us 5, and 4 plus 1 will also give us 5. So there are multiple ways. So I think that is
making it more complicated, huh?
Yeah.
A little bit of partitions is also involved. Little bit of partitions.
Exactly. Partitions, yes. So one of very big contributions of Ramanujan is to come up with the asymptotic formula for partition, the number of partitions a number n has. If you had attended one of those Ramanujan's lectures, or if you had seen that movie, The Man Who Knew Infinity. So they specifically chose this partition problem because it's easy to explain to the audience. So there's a lot of So for the partition problem, it was like at that time when people attempted this problem, Euler long back he gave a generating function. Okay, generating function is something which we'll talk about it sometime. And then people tried. So people always have this fascination to come up with the exact formula, right? And after Euler's method, what it did was they tried to tabulate P of n. P of n is the number of partitions n, the number n has. So they made a table and they kept on making tables 100,000, 10,000. I don't know what length they went without any. At that time, there was none of these electrical or calculators. They kept on calculating to see if there is any pattern. And lots of people had made lots of calculations. And then at that moment, Ramanujan, he gave a formula. He gave a formula which was like very close to that. So he did not give an exact formula. People lost hope of getting an exact formula for that. But then he gave a formula which was like very close, which goes closely to that. That was a very big achievement.
So he gave the thing is that he gave the formula that could give you the approximate value, and that's why he became more famous. He cracked the partition thing, which was existing around hundreds of years. That problem was actually existing hundreds of years.
Yeah.
That has been baffling mathematicians for years. And even in that movie also, the answer that he gives and the answer that the other British professor or Cambridge professor gives, there's a huge difference. He gives a difference error percentage of around 3%, whereas he gives less than 1%.
Yeah. Correct.
So that scene was actually taken really beautifully.
That scene was yeah.
Probably he would challenge the professor to go for P of 200.
Yeah, P of 200 is huge, right?
Huge, yeah.
And more than that, if you see his initial letter and if you see some of his formulas, right, it is his formula for pi. You should take a look at that formula sometime. It is there in Wikipedia. Just look at his infinite series formula for pi. That is the fastest converging sequence for pi. And even now, computers which needs a lot of digits for pi use that Ramanujan's formula. So just take a look at it. It is simply like mind-boggling. The constants that come here, that formula. So Hardy says right, to Littlewood, he says these formulas should be true because no one has imagination to come up with this formula. So it has to be true. So M of 4 is 7. I get a feel that this is 7. Okay, okay.
Yeah, it should be 7, I think.
Because it should be greater than or equal to 7. Because I can get a sequence of length. I can get 6 integers without having 4 of them having this property.
Oh, okay.
So it should be 7 or greater than 7.
Okay.
But is it 7? That is the question. If it is 7, then it is following a very simple pattern, right? For what other number? For 5, yeah. What was it for 5? What was it? 9?
Yeah, I came up to 9. Yeah.
Oh, then that's a very simple odd number. Odd numbers. Oh, can you prove it then?
5, 7, 9. That's strange.
Oh, for K, okay, let me. K and this M of K, no number. When K is 1, yeah, 1. When K is 2, 3. When K is 3, 5. K is 4, so you are not. But for K is 5, 9. Yeah, this we are verified. Sunil has verified this. Okay. For K equal to 4, is it 7? I'll just verify it.
But why did you say 7? Why didn't you say 3 squared plus 1, 10?
Yeah. I was not trying along that pigeonhole argument.
Okay.
So I just looked at these numbers 3 and 5.
Okay. Okay.
Like it must be odd numbers, right? It looks like there is something bad here. So basically, what it is, so if the answer is true, then for K, 2K minus 1. So if you have 2K minus 1 numbers, then you'll have K of them adding into a multiple of K.
Okay. Okay.
And I have a strong feeling that you can use pigeonhole principle here. But pigeonhole principle is like very tricky and very notorious. People can come up with that pigeonhole argument only after lots of trial and error.
According to my logic, yes, it is 7.
Okay. So if you take 7, then any 4 of them will be, sorry, there will exist 4 of them, which is a multiple of 4. Like, were you able to justify it?
Okay. So what I thought is, let's say for k is equal to 4, there are 4 pigeonholes, right?
Yes.
0, 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Okay. Imagine that you put three numbers in first pigeonhole and 3 numbers in second pigeonhole.
Exactly. So here we have a case of
And-
6 numbers, which is not having this property.
Yeah, it's not having this property.
Yes.
Now, if you try to place the 7th number in any of the pigeonhole, 0, 1, 2, 3, so there will be a combination of 4 numbers that is a multiple
Correct.
of 4.
Correct. So this is case 1, right? This is case 1 where let me record it. We have 0, 1, 2, 3, and k equal to 4. So if you have 3 here and 3 here, then any extra one, if you put, you will always have 4, which will add to, which is a multiple of 4, which will have the property. Yes.
Yeah.
So if this is the case, okay. But then there are so many other possibilities, right? For the 6 fellows to be distributed among these 4, there are how many possible ways? There are 6. Okay. So I can touch it as lots of.
But Shiv, you cannot find 7, 7 pigeons in the pigeonholes that do not, satisfy this condition. Only 6 can.
Yeah. Correct. But I'm just looking for that logic to understand. So here in this case, if 0 has 3 and 1 has 3, then it is clear. But what if 0 has 2, 1 has 2, and 2 has 2, 4, 5. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Right.
There exists a combination.
Correct. Okay, so what are the other possible ways of putting 6 so that there's no, so this property is not satisfied?
Actually, there has to be 3 numbers in 0. I mean, in pigeonhole 0, and you can place the other 3 anywhere.
What about this?
Yeah.
No. This again has a property. This
Yes.
has a property because I can take the 3 and a 1 and 2 zeros.
Correct. Yes, 3 and a 1 and 2 zeros.
So this is also not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is no pattern. Like apart from enumerating, I'm not doing anything.
At least, like, what are you enumerating? The possible ways of getting multiple of 4?
No, I didn't do that. So I wanted to see if there are only 2 remainders of the 4. If there are only 2,
Okay.
then it has to be 3 times 2 plus 1, which will give 7. There's no other way to ensure 4 numbers adding up to a multiple of 4. So the case of 2 remainders, it's 7. So I was trying for case of 3 remainders, trying to distribute the 7 numbers and try, but nothing concrete yet.
Or is there some other value of k for which we can easily find it? Like if k satisfies some property, then m of k is this. Can you say something like that?
I suspected 7 might work out because 7 usually has this, but even there it's not working out. Again, because 6 plus 1 will be 7, 5 plus 2 will be 7, 3 plus 4 will be 7.
Yeah, all of them are in pairs.
So So the bigger the number, the more the combinations possible. So
So more the complications, huh? So,
yeah.
or if m of k, so if you know for some k, then can we
For
easily
6 we
calculate
can
two?
do. For 6 we can do it like that.
How?
So for 6, so we can pick 3 numbers. We can pick an even number by having 3 numbers, right? And we can pick a multiple of 3 by having 5 numbers. So if you have 3 sets of 5 numbers, you can pick a multiple of 6. That's what I thought it would work out to be.
Actually, I get you. So if you're saying if k is equal to 6, then what is m of k? What is m of 6?
15.
Oh, m of 6 is 15.
Ah.
Okay, that seems to break.
I know, but so the way
Should be-
I wrote it was yeah. So if I have a set of 5 numbers, I can pick 3 that will give a multiple of 3.
Yes.
So I'll have 3 sets like that. So they will each generate 3 numbers that will add up to multiples of 3. Then choose 2 of them.
Oh,
That will surely give an even number. So that should be divisible by 6.
okay. You're saying something like this, huh? You're saying, okay, so if you know the value of m of k, you can find m of 2k like this, huh? Okay, so what you're saying is you will take a1, a2 till a5 one set, then a6 till a10 another set,
Yeah.
and a11 to a15.
Yeah.
Then here we have 3 numbers which are multiples of okay, which gives a multiple of 3. Here also we have 3, and here also we have 3. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Choosing
what
any
was-
2 of these
oh,
should add up to.
very nice. Wow. So, but so from what you can say, 15 is an upper bound. So it has to be less
15
than
is an
15.
upper bound.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
for m of 6 is definitely less than 15, less than or
Yeah.
equal to 15. Wow, very
Yeah.
nice. So we can give upper bound like this. Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, it's most likely less than that, right? Because looking at the trend.
Looking at the trend, it should be 11. Please.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We will try this some more time after the session. And if I have to make some observations or insights, I will let you know in the session.
Yeah.
So we can, if there are no other comments or progress, this problem. But at least what I'm saying is, if you evaluate m of 4 and if it is 7, you will have more confidence.
Yeah.
m of 4, it looks like it's a day's work. Or you need to write a program to check all the possibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.